Hi, it's Jonathan Gibbs with 2D-X.com, and I'm here with Chad Morton, creator of NUN. So I'm here with Chad Morton, creator of the NUN series, and we're here to talk to him about his vision, you know, the idea of it, and where he's going with it. So Chad, can you tell me more about how this went from being just a vision in your mind to being here at Comic-Con and marketing this project?
Well, I'm going to tell you, it started about 3 years ago when I took my sons to go see Clash of the Titans, and we looked on screen and we didn't see anybody who looked like us. And I wanted to create something where kids can see figures on screen who look like them, who they can identify with. And I decided to start with ancient Egypt because I love mythology. And as I delved into the stories, I found out that there were incredible, fascinating stories that have never been told. Not in any medium, not in comics, not in pop culture, television or film. There's a wealth of information to choose from. Being the science nerd that I am, I wanted to take the science angle and mix that with the mythology, come up with an incredible story.
Okay, you mentioned that you are a science, like a science geek, and that you're trying to mix like the comic book culture with the science. I noticed looking at the website that there were a lot of pictures of like different star systems and nebulas representing the characters. I'm not an Egyptian scholar, and I don't know how that ties in. I know that they have hieroglyphics and things, but could you go more into Egyptian history, how it has inspired the work, and how it relates, so it brings everything together?
That's an outstanding question, and let me tell you, there's so much in Egyptian mythology that boggles the mind even today. The structure and the location of the pyramids and their relations to the stars, the pyramids themselves, how were they built? Even with today's technology, we haven't quite figured out how that could be done. What my series does is basically talks about or discusses the fact that perhaps there was an intervention with other beings, other celestial beings, who weren't necessarily of this world, but possibly of another dimension. And they just happen to look a lot like the people of ancient Egypt.
That's awesome. Any advice to any up-and-coming artists, whether they be in an urban community or just anybody that is looking to do something like what you're doing here, a movement?
Let me tell you, first of all, it's got to be a labor of love. You've got to be dedicated to it, and you've got to be committed. In my case, it was my kids and other kids of color. I wanted them to see someone who looks like them growing up in the 70s. I love comic books, I love fantasy, I love the movies, the whole culture. And when we would finally get someone who looked like us, aka the Black Panther or Static Shock for a younger generation, we would gravitate to it because they were so few and far between, so infrequent. But I read an article that the success of the Fast and the Furious was the fact that all of the actors, you could watch that movie, anybody, and you could relate to somebody on that screen. I think that's a lesson that Hollywood needs to learn, and I'm open to teach it. So I'm hoping that they come a calling, because what we have here, I think, is the next big thing.
That's awesome. Now I noticed that you have live actors here that are like representing the different characters as we saw in the introduction. How is that going to play, or is that just part of showing what this is all about?
Well, you hit it right on the head. It's showing what this is all about. I've run across some very talented actors and actresses who share the vision. The synergy that they create together is incredible. And people come up to us wherever we go as a group, and they stop us and they just say, "You're all so beautiful." And that's what I wanted to get across. Beautiful, statuesque people of color, dignified, fantastic, powerful. And this is the message that I want to convey, just through the visual.
Can you tell us more about this universe? I noticed that you mentioned that there are two humans, and I read on the website that one of them's a PhD, and so I'm thinking it's got a modern setting, but we're also mixing in the ancient Egypt mythology. So without giving too many spoilers on the series or anything, can you tell me kind of what the story is about and what to expect in this?
Well, let me just say, the Immortals have been here for quite some time, back in the times of ancient Egypt up until today, but it's not until now that the science has adapted or gotten to the level where we can discover the things via the Hubble telescope that we weren't able to see and witness before. And right now, the man of science, he who should not be named, along with Dr. Ford, are the ones who make this discovery, and how to process that and bring that information to the rest of the world is what they struggle with.
All right. Well, Chad Morton, it was very good good to talk with you.
Pleasure's mine. Thank you so much. The release date for the novel online will be November 1st. It'll be available online on Amazon and Kindle. It will be available in print the first of the year.
All right, so keep an eye out for that because this looks like something to look out for.